weekend's victory at Selhurst Park was a peculiar but vital one. A disjointed first-half performance gave way to a dominant second, raising the age-old question of whether it was United's improvement or Palace's fatigue that sealed the 3 points. Ultimately, in a ground where United have historically struggled, the result outweighs the performance analysis. The focus must now shift to consistency, building momentum against West Ham and Wolves. However, the broader, more persistent narrative remains the reshaping of the squad, a task that dominates the discourse regardless of the weekend's scoreline. The January transfer window looms, and with it, a flood of speculation that ranges from the plausible to the outright fantastical. Navigating this speculation requires a clear-eyed view of the club's new direction under its sporting hierarchy. The era of pursuing superstar names on exorbitant wages, seemingly for commercial appeal rather than tactical fit, is supposedly over. The mandate now appears to be identifying players with specific profiles, potential, and a mindset suited to a rebuild. This framework is essential for filtering the daily torrent of transfer links. Some stories, while exciting, belong firmly in the realm of fantasy football. At the top of that list is the sensational link to Real Madrid's Federico Valverde. Reports suggest a falling out with manager Xabi Alonso has placed his future in doubt, with United listed as a suitor for the £100 million rated Uruguayan. While Valverde is undeniably one of the world's elite midfielders, a dynamic, powerful, and technically gifted engine, the logic of this transfer collapses under minimal scrutiny. Real Madrid is a club historically governed by player power. The idea that they would choose to sell a cadre of disgruntled stars, including Valverde, rather than replace a manager who has lost the dressing room, feels fundamentally unrealistic. Furthermore, the financial and sporting reality for United makes this a near impossible deal. The reported fee is stratospheric. His wages would be enormous, and at 27, without Premier League experience, he represents the exact profile of high-risk, high-cost signing the new regime is trying to avoid, especially without the lure of Champions League football. The story feels like opportunistic journalism, connecting a club in need of midfield reinforcement with a world-class player who might be unsettled, without acknowledging the vast chasm between possibility and probability. This pattern of linking United with every high-profile player reportedly unhappy in Madrid extends to Vinicius Jr. The narrative is similar. Tensions with Alonso, United making contact. Yet this is even less credible. Vinicius is a galactic superstar, and his potential acquisition would shatter the club's wage structure and transfer record, contradicting every stated principle of the new project. It is the antithesis of a strategic targeted signing. Such links, often emanating from less reputable outlets, serve only as engagement fodder. They highlight a key challenge for the club. As the transfer philosophy pivots, the media engine, accustomed to the United of old, continues to churn out stories of marquee names. The real work, however, is happening away from this glare, focusing on more attainable and sensible targets. A far more plausible and intriguing option emerges in the form of Atalanta's Ederson. Credible reports indicate United's interest is not new. The club explored a move for the Brazilian midfielder as recently as last January. At that time, a fee in the region of £60 to £70 million was deemed prohibitive. The landscape has now shifted dramatically, with his contract running to 2027 and no extension signed. His valuation has reportedly halved to a more palatable €30 to €40 million. This presents a classic opportunity signing, a player long admired suddenly becoming financially viable. At 24, Ederson possesses the physicality and defensive discipline suited to the Premier League. His profile is one of a modern, box-to-box midfielder capable of breaking up play and progressing the ball. The major caveat, as with any import, is the lack of top-flight English experience. However, at this reduced cost, he represents a calculated risk. He would not be immediately burdened with being the sole successor to Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes, but could be integrated alongside them, given time to adapt. His potential acquisition also aligns with a necessary squad churn. To bring in a new midfielder, space must be created, and the obvious candidate for departure is Donny van de Beek, whose United career has stalled completely. Replacing a non-contributor with a hungry, talented player at a reasonable fee is precisely the model United must adopt. This model of pragmatic opportunism also applies to the continued links with Conor Gallagher. The Chelsea midfielder, now with his pathway at Stamford Bridge seemingly blocked again, represents a known quantity. At a reported £26 million, he offers proven Premier League energy, goal threat from midfield, and a high-intensity style. The debate centres on whether he represents a long-term strategic fit or a short-term stopgap. The club's leadership has expressed a desire to move away from temporary fixes, but a permanent transfer at that price for a 24-year-old England international could be viewed as a smart piece of business, filling an immediate need while retaining resale value. Like with Ederson, Gallagher would be an addition to the midfield pool, offering something different and addressing the concerning lack of productivity from the middle of the park. He is not a fantasista like Bruno, but a runner and a finisher, a profile the squad lacks. The discussion shifts from opportunistic signings to strategic long-term targets when considering Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton. His performance against United was a masterclass in composed forward-thinking midfield play. His constant scanning, one-touch passing and spatial awareness marked him out as a player of exceptional maturity for his age. At 21, he fits the profile of a foundational signing, a player to build a midfield around for the next decade. However, this calibre of talent comes with a premium price, likely around £70 million, and significant competition. Crucially, reports suggest Wharton's next move will be contingent on European football. This is the new reality for United. The absence of Champions League or even Europa League football is a tangible handicap in the market. While the club's stature will always attract some players, for others like Wharton, who are at the beginning of their ascent and have multiple elite suitors, European competition is a non-negotiable prerequisite. The potential signing of Wharton is therefore a twofold challenge. First, meeting Palace's valuation, and second, securing the league position necessary to make the project appealing to him. Beyond the midfield, the search for attacking depth has thrown up an interesting, if questionably sourced, link to Christian Pulisic. The American winger has rebuilt his career impressively at AC Milan, showcasing the directness and creativity that made him a star at Borussia Dortmund. On profile alone, he makes sense as a rotational option across the front line, offering pace and dribbling ability that the squad sometimes lacked from the bench. At 26, with Premier League experience and a manageable potential fee, he is a sensible, speculative target. However, the source of the rumour damages its credibility. It exemplifies the noise that surrounds the club, where plausible player profiles are attached to United by outlets with poor track records, creating a talking point from thin air. A more credible and exciting attacking link, though one with fierce competition, is Johan Bakayoko of PSV. His profile as a direct, left-footed right winger fits a glaring need. But as with Wharton, the lack of European football and the interest from rivals like Liverpool and Manchester City make any deal exceedingly difficult in January. The most encouraging developments, however, may not concern the immediate first team, but the future. The apparent push to sign young South American talents like Christian Killy Arcos, Luis Eduardo and Robinho Jr. signals a welcome shift in strategy. For too long, United have watched rivals unearth gems from these markets. The reported signing of Arcos, a 17-year-old Colombian midfielder likened to Moises Caicedo, for a minimal fee is exactly the type of low-risk, high-reward deal the club's recruitment should be pursuing. The challenge has never been identifying such talents, but successfully integrating and developing them. Here, the Ineos multi-club model could prove transformative. The impending loan of Diego Leon to OGC Nice demonstrates a potential pathway. Secure top young talent, and if immediate first-team minutes at a club under pressure are not feasible, provide high-quality European loan development within a sister club network. This creates a virtuous cycle, improving player value and potentially feeding the first team with ready-made stars in the future. It is a patient, strategic approach that contrasts sharply with the reactive, headline-grabbing transfers of the past. In conclusion, the January window for Manchester United is shaping up to be a test of its new identity. The noise will inevitably centre on unattainable stars like Valverde and Vinicius. The reality, however, will be defined by quiet, pragmatic moves for players like Edison or Gallagher, and strategic investments in the future like Arcos. The club's ability to execute this calmer, more focused plan, while navigating the significant obstacle of their likely European absence, will be the true measure of progress. The weekend's wins must be built on the pitch, but the most important victories in the coming months may be secured in the negotiation room, by ignoring the fantasy and focusing on the feasible.